resolution condemning anti-Semitism fails to pass in City Council.
I mean, that sends a horrible message to the people of Baltimore.
The outrage and disappointment from one councilman. 2 students attacked on their way to school.
And then he started pulling my hair and punching me like in my chest.
The change that the school system made, some say, is putting kids in danger. Outrage in Baltimore County and beyond, as one council member proposes a bill that would strip powers from the Inspector General.
Government has to be transparent and accountable.
What we're learning about those leaked amendments and the concerns over transparency. The race for Maryland's open Senate seat heats up.
I'm surprised by the results.
The name topping the polls some didn't expect.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Folks, this is real. This is not a movie. It is a stunning scene just south of Baltimore in Arlington, Virginia, as a massive explosion levels a home.
Arlington police saying officers had the house surrounded, conducting a search warrant when the explosion went off.
Now, on your left is a live look of the aftermath of that explosion. Police say a suspect fired a flare gun at officers several times, igniting the home. Let's listen in to this live report from the scene. And again, it's unclear. It's unclear, though, whether any officers were inside the house at the time of the explosion. We're trying to find that information out. But police do say there are minor injuries, as you can imagine, probably damage from homes next door.
Community members are being told to shelter in place as crews work to put out the remaining fire. Fox 45 News will continue to follow this breaking story, have updates on air and online as we learn more. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Kai Jackson. Key decisions tonight from councils in Baltimore City and Baltimore County as the city said no to a resolution in support of Israel.
And a vote on the future of the Baltimore County Inspector General's office didn't happen after some last-minute additions to the bill.
Well, tonight we have team coverage as Rebecca Pryor looks into a frantic few hours in Baltimore County.
We begin with Keith Daniels and why the city council chose not to approve a pro-Israel resolution. Keith?
Well, Mary and Kai, it's a measure that Councilman Yitzi Schleifer thought would be consistent with what we've seen from the city council before, including measures or resolutions that call for the condemnation of terrorist attacks. But tonight, a no vote. Baltimore City Councilman Isaac Yitzi Schleifer said it was a last-minute but crucial decision for him. A push for members of the city council to pass the immediate adoption of his resolution, which primarily calls for the condemnation of the Hamas-led Palestinian deadly attack on Israel in October and the condemnation of anti-Semitism.
And with the large Jewish population that we have here in Baltimore that is feeling very isolated and alone because of the recent events and the rise in anti-Semitism in the United States, it's important that their government can stand with them.
But before the vote, protesters in the council chambers, their voices lifted in support of Palestine. Council President Nick Mosby approves adding the measure on tonight's meeting agenda. Because it calls for an immediate resolution, at least 12 votes are needed for approval.
The resolution fails for immediate adoption.
But the resolution fails to get the required number of votes, with only 9 members voting yes, 4 council members abstaining, with 2 council members not present, making those 4 abstaining votes from council members Christopher Burnett, Ryan Dorsey, Felicia Porter, and Odette Ramos critical.
You're not.
They chose not to be interviewed, but Councilman John Bullock, who supported the resolution, at the mic with why others possibly did not.
The fact is that there are people who also are fighting for self-determination. And just like the state of Israel deserves to exist in terms of people, for self-determination, that also needs to exist for the Palestinian people as well.
But for Schleifer, more on the vote and its message.
It sends the message that hate is only okay if it's being perpetuated against Jews. Murder is only okay if you're murdering Jews. And that sends a horrible message to the people of Baltimore.
Now, we are back here live before the vote. Schleifer described how his resolution is worded very similar to the resolution passed 4 years ago that condemned the New Zealand terrorist attack. After hearing that, one council member, Mark Conway, changed his vote. Still, it wasn't enough. We're live tonight. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Keith, thank you. The City Council also held a town hall hearing tonight on two pieces of legislation that would bring the Baltimore Police Department under local control. During the last legislative session, lawmakers in Annapolis agreed to hand control over to the city. Now council members are considering two charter amendments that would give the city complete control of the department. One deals with the department's structure and responsibilities. The other gives more control of the department to the City Council, actually. It is important to note, while the state has been in control of the department for decades, the city still had power over the department. The mayor appoints the police commissioner, as you know, and the City Council has final say over the department's budget. There will be another public town hall on the topic on Thursday at City Hall before the council votes on the legislation on December 12th. If the charter amendments pass, city residents will then vote on them next year.
Turning now to Baltimore County, some are outraged about changes to two bills dealing with the Office of the Inspector General are leaked to the public. Those amendments would strip Inspector General Kelly Madigan of many of her powers. She says she was blindsided.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous. I never received a copy of those amendments. Those amendments dramatically changed the entire bill.
Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor joins us live with a closer look at those amendments. Rebecca.
Yeah, Kai, Council Chair Julian Jones, he sent out those proposed amendments privately to county council members over the weekend. Today, we got our hands on those amendments. They include the creation of an advisory board. It would be made of 7 members. Most of them would be county officials. It would also require the Inspector General to submit reports to that board for approval before they can be released to the public. The amendments would also cut back on the IG subpoena powers, making it so the Inspector General would have to ask for the documents they need first, then wait 90 days for a response before they can issue a subpoena themselves. The amendments come just days after Inspector General Kelly Madigan appeared before the council on this pair of bills. At the time, she approved of how they were written. Now she tells me that she was blindsided by these amendments, only learning about them just hours before they were revealed during tonight's council meeting. She adds that Chairman Jones never provided her a copy of those amendments and that she is completely against the changes.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous. It's outrageous that amendments would be proposed. I would not be given a courtesy copy of them, nor would the administration. The public would not have an opportunity to weigh in, and they would not be recommendations. We paid $100,000 for 7 citizens to give their time and energy and focus to take testimony from subject matter experts. And this was done with a swift of a pen and an email hitting send. Those amendments dramatically changed the entire bill. Those amendments were not consistent with the Blue Ribbon Commission's recommendation. They are not consistent with best practices. I do not support them.
Well, Kelly Madigan is not the only one outraged by these proposed amendments tonight. Fox 45 also spoke with Baltimore City Inspector General Isabel Cumming about the amendments. She's saying that these changes would compromise the integrity of the Inspector General's office and that it would also hold and keep away vital information from Baltimore County residents. Take a listen.
With the advisory board they have listed right now, which, you know, nothing would ever be shown to the public. The transparency, the integrity, the independence of an Office of Inspector General is being demolished here. I mean, they had gone so far. You know, the Blue Ribbon Commission did actually an incredible job. They had very good recommendations. This amendment follows none. It's truly just such a step back for Baltimore County. And I truly hope the citizens of Baltimore County realize this and reach out to their electeds to say this should not happen.
Ultimately, the county council deferred a vote on the bills to next week, saying that the public should get a chance to weigh in on the amendments before they vote. It's important to note that news of the amendments broke less than an hour before the council meeting began. And according to taxpayer watchdog David Williams, the amendments should be investigated before that vote.
There should be a hearing about these amendments. They should bring in other inspector generals. They should bring in people from the county. There needs to be an investigation as to why this council member offered these amendments. There needs to be open and transparent hearings.
Now, if the council does pass the bills as the amendments are proposed, Baltimore County voters, they will still have a say here. This issue will appear on the ballots this November. Reporting live in Baltimore, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. Well, another part of the amendments would have the county reimburse the legal expenses for any county official the inspector general investigates, as long as the investigation finds them innocent. David Williams also weighing in on that.
There is no reason why taxpayer dollars should be used to reimburse people that are being investigated by the inspector general. This could lead to thousands, maybe even millions of dollars being used to compensate people that have been investigated.
Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski has been at odds with the inspectors general before. In 2021, he withdrew a different bill that would have made cuts to the inspector general's office after backlash from the public and the National Association of Inspectors General. Tonight, he released a statement on Jones's proposed amendments, saying his office is committed to the long-term success of the Office of the Inspector General. The statement goes on to say, quote, "We continue to support our proposed legislation as introduced." Fox 45 News will continue to follow this developing story. You can follow on our website and on air. And if you'd like to contact your council person about it and about that legislation, you can find their contact information on our website, foxbaltimore.com/newslinks. Well, tomorrow, state lawmakers will hold a third hearing on juvenile justice laws as Fox 45 News continues to hear from residents who say the state's youth crime laws are impacting their sense of safety.
Some of those people who I grew up with who are no longer here, if they knew that this was the condition of our community, they would turn over in their graves.
Well, Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost looks at what we can expect from tomorrow's hearing.
Members of a House committee will meet in Annapolis tomorrow for the third hearing to address juvenile crime. With just over a month before the next session begins, the pressure continues to build for lawmakers to find a solution to this problem impacting communities across the state. This fall, members of a House committee have met twice.
If a crime clearly has occurred, we should allow our officers to take action, and it's frustrating to the community that we cannot.
They see no reason to stop committing crimes because we are giving them no reason not to.
To talk about more and more young people finding themselves either suspects or victims of violence. The issue catapulting in the center of the debate earlier this year after a new law preventing kids 13 and younger from facing nonviolent misdemeanor charges took effect. Another law requires an attorney to be present during questioning of juveniles by law enforcement. Soon, prosecutors from around the state started speaking up and pushing lawmakers to make change.
A revolving door, the same juvenile offenders over and over again.
You can protect a child and also protect society. If we deter that communication, we inhibit our ability to address crime.
If we don't do something to hold these young people accountable, they will continue to run and almost have lawlessness in our cities. And we can't have that.
House Judiciary Committee Chairman Luke Clippinger, a Democrat from Baltimore City, previously telling Fox 45 News he was interested in looking at probation as an area for potential change.
Previous law said that they could be on probation until they're 21. The current law depends on whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony. It basically is up to a year for a misdemeanor and up to 2 years for a felony. I think we might take another look at those.
But so far, no concrete plans from Democratic lawmakers to address the concerns, the same lawmakers who control both chambers in the State House. Meanwhile, Delegate Robin Grammer, a Republican from Baltimore County, sits on the committee. He's been pushing for bigger changes and says the two previous committee hearings have been beneficial, but it's time to see action.
People have to, frankly, stop playing so close to the chest and start having real discussions about this issue.
Recent polling from the Gonzalez Research shows voters are looking for a change when it comes to juvenile justice laws.
What we found statewide,
59% of Marylanders say we need a strict approach. 35% said a more moderate approach.
It's just not clear if or how lawmakers in Annapolis will decide to tackle the problem. The hearing is scheduled to begin 1 o'clock Tuesday afternoon in Annapolis. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, we have heard from frustrated juvenile crime victims across the state. 72-year-old Donna Talent was carjacked at gunpoint in front of her home in Rosedale last week, leaving her with that black eye and a concussion. A 16-year-old and a 15-year-old were charged. The Baltimore County State's Attorney's Office tells Fox 45 News the 16-year-old will be charged as an adult. Talent says those responsible need to face consequences.
These kids don't have consequences, and that's what makes me very angry. And I am furious, and I'm going after these. I want to prosecute. I want to see some type of retribution.
Talent says she'll read a victim impact statement when the 15-year-old appears in court later this month. That brings us to our question of the day. Do you think lawmakers are listening to constituents when it comes to juvenile crime? So far, 89% of people who voted say no. To make your voice heard, head to foxbaltimore.com.
Hey everyone, I'm Wyatt Everhart. A pleasant Monday around here. Temperatures were up in the 50s today, falling into the 30s tonight. A nice Tuesday, but the chance for some wintry weather around here Wednesday. Those details are coming up.
All right, Wyatt, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 10 o'clock tonight, the 2024 Senate race is heating up in the state of Maryland as Congressman David Trone and Angela Also Brooks emerge as front runners. Why the results of a recent poll is surprising to at least one political expert. More questions and answers tonight after shots are fired inside the Harbor East Theater in downtown Baltimore. Fox 45 News presses police and the city council for answers. 2 Howard County students are attacked while waiting for a bus. Project Baltimore hears from the victim and examines why the school system isn't providing a safer way to class.
A Howard County student has returned to class nearly a week after she says a man attacked her when she was making her way to school.
Project Baltimore first reported the incident last week. Chris Papps has been investigating and found this could be part of a bigger problem impacting students walking to school because the system cut their bus service.
Jada Jones is struggling.
I want my life to go back to what it was before.
with school.
This 15-year-old is in 10th grade at Wild Lake High School in Howard County. 6 days ago, she and her friend were on their way to school. It was about 7:30, a cold November morning. And instead of walking, the girls decided to take public transit. They were waiting at this bus stop off Columbia Road when a man attacked them.
So he was grabbing on her purse, and I started punching him and trying to get him off of her. And then he started pulling my hair and punching me like in my chest. And we both were defending ourselves, like hitting on him, trying to get him off of us because he was fighting back. And I guess we let him loose, like we got off of him and we started running.
Terrified, the girls ran all the way to school. Jada called her grandmother, Michelle Williams.
I'm raising them, and I'm all they got. And she's all I got, as my daughter, And just for her and her friend, it took everything in me to try to keep my mind focused and just tell Jada it's going to be okay.
Jada and her grandmother live 2 miles from Wild Lake High School. They don't own a car, and Jada used to ride the school bus. But this year, that's not an option.
It is not fair. I want our buses back.
About 3,500 students lost their school buses. After Howard County increased the distance students must live from school in order to qualify for a school bus. Those 3,500 students are now considered walkers, including Jada.
Some of us don't have the transportation to pick their kids and take them to school. Then you made it difficult because now our children is getting hurt in the midst of this.
Jada's grandmother is worried, and she's not alone.
First and foremost concern is safety. Safety, period, end of story.
Project Baltimore has spoken with a number of parents outraged by the district's decision to cut school bus service. Over the summer, they held protests, hoping to convince the school district to reverse course because of safety concerns.
Save our school buses!
Those concerns have become reality. What happened to Jada is just the latest incident. Less than 3 weeks ago, before Jada and her friend were attacked, 2 other Howard County High School students were robbed in separate incidents while walking home from school. Project Baltimore looked into those incidents. In both cases, police say the victims were walking home from Centennial High School when they were robbed at gunpoint by 2 assailants. The robberies occurred just a few minutes apart near Gwen Park Drive and Riverside Circle in Ellicott City. Project Baltimore looked up that neighborhood on the Howard County bus transportation map. The green boundary line represents walkers. Last year in 2022, students who lived in this section received bus service. But look at the current map. The entire neighborhood is now considered walkers. Project Baltimore did speak with one of the students from Centennial High School. He told us he was walking home that day because just like Jada, he lost his school bus. So that means 4 Howard County students in less than a month have reported being victims of crimes, and 3 of them have confirmed to FOX45 they had their school bus taken away. Howard County Schools maintains that cuts to bus service increase efficiency because school start times change this year. The district declined an interview with Fox 45, saying in a statement, "We are deeply concerned for the welfare and well-being of each of our students." The school system went on to thank Howard County Police for keeping neighborhoods safe and said that it's appreciative of the RTA, Regional Transportation Agency, which offers free bus passes to Howard County students.
I need you to tell me that you have transportation for my baby tomorrow so she can go to school and feel safe, so she can have a proper education.
Project Baltimore wants to hear from you. Are you a parent or a student in Howard County who recently lost their bus and is concerned about safety? Call our hotline, send me an email, go to foxbaltimore.com to follow our progress on this story. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Fox 45 News continues to press Baltimore police for details on the shots fired inside Harbor East Cinemas on Saturday night. Despite the significant threat in a public place, the only information so far from police is that no one was hurt and they have no suspect details. We spoke to a woman who says she was in the theater during the incident, describing the chaotic scene inside.
I was scared that the shooter was going to come into our theater. I wasn't sure what was happening. I just saw people running and I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening.
Fox 45 sent several questions to BPD, including how many shots were fired, how many suspects they are looking for, and if they will be releasing surveillance images. We were told there are no new updates today, and they'll send a media advisory when there's more information. Well, City Councilman Mark Conway chairs the Public Safety and Government Operations Committee. He says while police may want to keep some parts of that investigation private, they do have an obligation to keep people informed.
I think it's really important that the department is transparent about what's going on, just so people know how to react, what to look for, and what to expect. There may be people who have some information that could be helpful towards apprehending the individuals responsible. I think also there's a balance in making sure that they don't put out too much information that could compromise the investigation.
We'll continue to follow this incident as we learn more information. You can stay updated at foxbaltimore.com. Coming up, the Maryland Department of Transportation faces serious funding cuts, what a taxpayer expert says is causing the money to dry up.
It's been a clear Monday around here and a clear night on our HD radar. That will hold up into Tuesday, but we are already tracking our next weather maker system diving in out of the upper Midwest. That could have an impact to your Wednesday morning, and we're going to have those details in just a couple of minutes.
And as we go to break, we're going to continue to follow this live look in Arlington, Virginia, just south of Baltimore, following a massive house explosion during a police search. Coming up, we'll hear from a witness who felt that explosion down the street. You know, that probably felt like an earthquake to the people living in that area. A stunning scene in Arlington, Virginia tonight as a massive explosion levels this home.
That's right. Arlington police saying officers had the house surrounded, conducting a search warrant when the explosion went off. One neighbor saying he could feel the explosion. He lives down the street.
But you could feel the sound concussion. It was impressive. I've been here for 50 years and I've never experienced anything like that.
Fox 45 News will continue to follow this breaking news story. We'll have updates right here on air and online as we learn more.
One poll has Congressman David Trone ahead of fellow Democrat Angela Alsobrooks in the 2024 Senate race. Coming up, why one political expert says the results were eye-opening.
And a string of attempted car thefts in Baltimore County leaves residents fearing for their safety. The possible connection between the attempted thefts. A new poll shows Congressman David Trone leads Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks in the race for Maryland's open Senate seat in 2024.
The results come on the heels of a fiery debate between the two Democrats over the weekend.
Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor joins us live to break down the numbers for us tonight. Rebecca?
Well, according to political analyst John Dede, primary elections often come down to name recognition. And according to this recent polling, it looks like the amount of money that David Trone is spending on TV ads is paying off. A day after tensions between Maryland's leading Democratic U.S. Senate candidates coming to a head, Representative David Trone pulling ahead in recent polling.
I'm surprised by the results because Alsobrooks has a lot of party people behind her.
In his own campaign ads, the congressman and self-made businessman admitting,
I know I won't be the establishment choice.
As Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks collects a long list of powerful political support, including Governor Wes Moore, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, and current U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen, David Trone is collecting TV ad space, outspending Alsobrooks by about $9 million during the first 3 quarters of the year. Mostly money from his own wallet.
He has gotten his name and message out there. And right now, the Also Brooks campaign really hasn't done this.
According to a poll commissioned by the Trone campaign through Hickman Analytics, which surveyed 1,000 Democratic voters, 86% of those surveyed said they had heard of the name David Trone, while only 73% recognized Angela Also Brooks. The poll also found 55% of voters had a favorable opinion of Trone, compared to 49% for Also Brooks. And if the election were held today, 41% said they'd vote for Trone, while 35% said they'd vote for Also Brooks.
If I was Also Brooks, you have to start making yourself relevant in media. Because I often say this, your campaign doesn't start for a candidate until they start running some TV ads.
Time will tell if endorsements or advertisements come out on top. The primary election for Maryland's rarely open U.S. Senate seat scheduled to take place next May. Tonight, I also reached out to Also Brooke for her reaction to the recent polling, but as of news time tonight, have not heard back. Reporting live in Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Fox 45 is your headquarters for 2024 election season as state and local races start to heat up. You can find all of our election coverage online at foxbaltimore.com.
Well, Maryland is set to cut billions of dollars from the Department of Transportation. State leaders are reportedly preparing to make an 8% cut across all agencies within that department. Now, it comes months after a report showed Maryland could face a nearly $2 billion budget deficit by the end of the decade. The report released in July says Maryland will go into the red after the 2024 fiscal year and predicts the deficit will grow from there. Many critics point to big spending projects like the Red Line as the driver of that deficit. The cost of the Red Line not clear, but when Governor Larry Hogan canceled the project in 2015, it carried an estimated price tag of nearly $3 billion. Then there is the blueprint for Maryland's future, also known as the Kirwan Education Plan. The legislation pumps billions of dollars into public education, but local government officials saying it is crushing their budgets.
This year alone, we have a legal mandate to spend an additional $88.4 million on education. That's more, just to kind of give you context, that's more than our entire budget for Health and Human Services.
We're struggling with Kirwan. I mean, I cannot deal with a $40 million increase in my education budget next year.
It was a gut punch. What we've been discussing with them and what we've heard is a open and willingness to look at how we can look at the formula. It's not what the governor or anyone expected us to be having at this point.
Well, you can find more on the budget concerns in the state on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
It means that I don't have a holiday coming. They need to put some cameras up around here or something.
All right. Well, a Reisterstown man is one of the latest victims of attempted car thefts as Baltimore County Police investigate a possible connection between 3 Kia and Hyundai thefts. Fox 45's Amy Simpson has her story.
I came home Friday evening, parked my car, went in the house.
It's not the way he wanted to wake up over the weekend.
Saturday morning, like about 5 o'clock in the morning, police knocked on my door.
This Reisterstown man not showing his face or using his name.
Can't get a break.
But wanting to share his story.
Police say it's probably the kids, you know what I mean? They're the ones that's going around stealing cars.
Along Tarragon Road in Reisterstown, police confirming 2 attempted car thefts over the weekend. A third incident just around the corner on Franklin Road. This man's Kia, one of the cars targeted.
But it was a lot of glass over here. It's still glass over here.
His back window is gone, covered in a black trash bag. Shards of glass littering his back seat. The car's ignition also a mess.
But I was trying to get it, you know what I mean? Because if they get into the wires, I mean, they can probably hot shot it or something.
Then walking us over to see another car parked nearby.
That's a Kia. This is a Hyundai.
This red Hyundai, also with its back window covered in plastic.
See, they did the same thing to this. I didn't see this. But just like my wheel was, my steering wheel, theirs is the same way.
According to Baltimore County Police data, there have been at least 4,100 attempted and successful auto thefts so far in 2023, a 190% increase from the year before. This man, now a part of that statistic.
Just one thing after another. you know.
We asked what this kind of expense means this close to the holidays.
It means that I don't have a holiday coming.
Yet somehow, despite the damage, his ignition still starts.
I can start it, and I can get it where I gotta take it.
But instead of heading off to work today, he's headed to get the car fixed up, but with a warning for other vulnerable drivers.
Get to the club and the software that they're supposed to, you know, put on it.
In Reisterstown, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Well, those carjacking concerns are extending into Baltimore City as well, where a woman says two suspects tried to corner her in a parking lot in Roland Park. Now, it happened early Saturday morning, and the woman tells Fox 45 News that suspect was armed and she had to crash into the suspect's car to get away.
I just felt like I was a sitting duck, and I stopped in the parking lot for a second, and I saw out of the corner of my eye them coming back down Roland. I don't think they saw me.
Well, the women described the suspects as tall, thin young adults driving a white BMW. A similar description matched an armed carjacking at a Towson Starbucks a few hours later. Police are looking into the two to see if those incidents are connected. Last week, two employees in Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital were carjacked at gunpoint within 24 hours. Both incidents happened on the employee parking lot in the rear of the building near a wooded area. Other hospital employees tell Fox 45 they're stunned people would target those who are caring for sick children.
I think it's really scary, and I think it's terrible for somebody to do that when they know that we're here helping people.
Baltimore City has seen nearly 11,000 car thefts and carjackings this year. BPD's most recent update shows 2/3 of those thefts involved Kias and Hyundais. Police say juveniles are responsible for 38% of those